Imagine going to your dentist and being told to forget using your toothbrush. You don't need to brush anymore. All you really need to do to keep your teeth clean is eat a few crunchy tortilla chips every day. I'd be in great shape because I love salt and I love a crunchy chip. So, yay, that would just, save me about 15 minutes a day not having to brush my teeth. Yay. However, um, that's pretty absurd. Unfortunately, that's what we've been told about the magical tooth cleaning ability of dry kibble. And unfortunately, that myth has been perpetuated by veterinarians and the pet food companies for many, many years. But it is simply false, and it truly is a myth. Dry kibble does not keep the teeth cleaner. So all the way back in 1996, that's a long time ago, a large study looked at 1,350 client-owned dogs in North America, and they found there were no differences between dogs that ate dry food only versus other than dry food only. So back then there wasn't very much raw feeding. It would have been mostly canned food or maybe some table food. Um, so they found no differences between dogs that ate dry food only versus other than dry food only eaters with regards to their levels of dental tartar, gingivitis, and periodontal bone loss. It really is folklore. There's no evidence-based research that supports the claim that eating kibble helps prevent dental disease. However, increasing the size of the kibble by at least 50% and increasing the size of the matrix, so the space in between the particles of the kibble. So if you see these like air pockets in there. In a 2007 study, they showed that increasing the size of the kibble by 50% and having a bigger matrix did decrease tartar by 42% in a 2007 study. And that was a study done to look at a prescription kibble, which is not meant to be fed as the base diet. It was meant to be fed as sort of like a treat. You added some of this to the diet to make them actually chew, because the problem is that most dogs and cats do not actually chew their kibble. They gulp, and it goes down in big pieces, and so there's not enough abrasive action on the teeth to actually make a difference in the amount of tartar and periodontal disease. So, regular kibble dog food, although it is crunchy, sticks to a dog's teeth like any other food does. After the dog eats the food, there's tiny bits of food left on the teeth, just like after we eat anything. The food particles mix with the bacteria in the mouth, and they collect along the gum line. And if the teeth aren't brushed soon after eating, just like us, the food residue forms the soft plaque film, and the plaque can be brushed away, but only if you get to it before it hardens into tartar. So for those who say, well, I brush once a week or I brush twice a week, you're not really making a difference because you've allowed the plaque to sit there long enough for it to harden into the tartar. And so the tartar is a calcified, hard substance that sticks on the teeth. And then the tartar gets below the gum line, causes gingivitis, and you can go back. We did a full week on dental disease back in February, I believe. So we have a lot of videos on that and a lot of a big blog on dental disease and prevention and all that kind of stuff. So, kibble is an ultra-processed food, and as such can contain substances that actually fuel inflammation in the body. We've talked about that a lot. And that includes the tissues of the mouth, so it actually increases the inflammation. Most kibble is starchy and full of fillers that break down to sugar, which contributes to the plaque and bacteria. And it's not just that kibble doesn't clean the teeth, it's also heavily processed with high heat and pressure, which creates advanced glycation end products and heterocyclic amines, which are also pro-inflammatory and even carcinogenic. As a result, this is fueling that inflammation and periodontal disease, gingivitis, stomatitis that we have going on in the mouth. Okay, so I'm sorry, I've got to flip back and forth here. So, on the other hand, raw meat contains enzymes that break down food material, as well as when we feed raw meaty bones, that acts as the abrasive to keep the tartar off your pet's teeth. Aside from a raw diet, the only other with raw meaty bones, the only other thing we can do are use abrasive chews to help remove the tartar from the teeth, and brushing. Brushing is really the most effective, and even for dogs that eat raw food, it is recommended that you brush, just like for us, we recommend brushing after eating. There was a study done in Australia that showed that dental health declined within just 17 days of switching from a raw diet to a kibble diet in dogs. Another study showed dental calculus was significantly higher in cats fed commercial diets, dry food diets, versus feral cats eating wild prey, which would include raw meaty bones. Okay. All right, so other benefits are that fresh food does not contain additives, sugar, or simple carbohydrates, depending on if you're making your own food, if you're including things like white potatoes, rice, things that do break down to sugars and are starchy carbs, then you still are going to have that starchy problem going on. But with most fresh food diets, particularly raw diets, they don't contain any of those starchy carbs. And so it changes the microbiome in the mouth and decreases the bacterial production. You get a different microbiome. So it doesn't, when you feed a fresh diet that does not contain the starches, the microbiome that forms in the mouth is much different than what we get when we feed a high starch, high carbohydrate diet. The high starch, high carbohydrate diet microbiome in the mouth promotes that plaque and tartar formation. All right, so something else that we could do, let's see, meat products, fish, and eggs are a healthy part of the diet and contain amino acids that will break down the bacteria and the glycolic acid, which is the form of sugar, and that reduces dental disease even further. Adding probiotics and prebiotics to your dog's diet is another way of supporting dental health. So we talked with Billy yesterday about adding some fermented foods or allowing some of the things to ferment. That will change the microbiome in the mouth as well and promote better oral health. Your dog's teeth and mouth are the entrance to the gastrointestinal tract, so we start with a healthy microbiome in the mouth and hopefully get that healthy biome all the way through to the other end. So we want to establish a good health at starting at the beginning. Research showed that oral probiotics applied topically in the mouth on the gums reduce inflammation and bad bacteria that lead to periodontal disease and improve bone density. Giving a daily oral dose of probiotics and rubbing some on the gums is a simple way to provide oral care for your dog and improve his dental health. So on our website we have 2 DIY toothpaste solutions for brushing your dog's teeth, because most of the or a lot of the over-the-counter toothpaste for dogs have some really nasty ingredients in them that we really don't want to use. So you can make your own toothpaste using our oral drops and the Cocotherapy coconut oil, or the Love Bugs probiotic mixed with some of the coconut oil, and this will be a great way to deliver those probiotics right to the gums and the mouth. And then the lauric acid that is in the coconut oil helps reset the microbiome in the mouth as well. So that's a really, really healthy way to brush your dog's teeth. And most of them absolutely love the taste of it, so they don't complain. And I'm saying dogs, but dogs and cats both. You really should brush your cat's teeth. I am not going to brush the 13 cats' teeth. The good news is they are on raw diets with raw meaty bones, so don't have to worry so much about their teeth. Ideally, everybody would get their teeth brushed every day. Other things that decrease dental tartar and that are found in much higher levels in fresh food diets versus dry kibble diets, the antioxidant CoQ10. So having low levels of CoQ10, studies have been done in humans showing that if your CoQ10 levels are low, you have increased periodontal disease. So we can increase the CoQ10 levels in the diet by having things that are high in in natural CoQ10, so fresh meats, fish, eggs, that sort of thing, and we're not going to get that in kibble. And so CoQ10, our levels when we're young, we have high levels of CoQ10 in our body makes it, and that declines as we age. So that's part of the reason, aging in general, pro-inflammatory problems that we get with poor diet over the years, but also for the senior animals, they don't do as well producing CoQ10. They don't do as well producing vitamin D. And so we have to make sure that we are either supplementing that or feeding fresh foods that are going to have high levels of vitamin D, CoQ10, so that we're supporting the bone structure in the jaw that supports the attachment of the teeth, and that we're supporting the microbiome with those. So you can supplement it as a supplement that you add to the diet, but also just having a fresh food diet is going to naturally be higher. So fatty fish and organ meats, really, really important for CoQ10. And then fatty acid supplements can also help manage periodontal inflammation. We need high levels of omega-3. So again, in dry kibble, AAFCO says that, well, actually in any food product, AAFCO says that the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio can be 30 to 1. What we really want is less than 3 to 1. So 2 to 1, 1.5 to 1, even better. Where are we going to get high levels of omega-3 in the diet? We're going to get that from fresh foods, because those omega-3s are destroyed in that heat processing that we have with kibble. So either you need to have a lot of supplementation, or you can look to the diet again. Things like fish, egg yolks, fish oils, algae oils, that sort of thing is going to be very high in omega-3. So feeding a fresh food diet, if you're feeding grass-fed beef, free range, chicken, where the chickens are allowed to free range and go out and eat bugs and eat the diet that they're supposed to, which is a meat-based diet, not a vegetarian diet. So we get higher omega-3s in the meat when it's that, free range, not confinement, animal raised meats, because that really changes the omega-3 to omega-6. So natural ways to decrease inflammation in the mouth are going to be that fresh food diet that's going to be higher in CoQ10, higher in omega-3s, higher in antioxidants in general. If we're feeding fermented foods, then we're getting that fresh, good probiotic, or we can add a probiotic to the system. But these are ways that you're going to improve the dental health. Feeding dry kibble and doing nothing else is going to set your pet up for failure with periodontal disease. And I can honestly say that when I first started in practice in the late 80s, I used to say if we saw a Yorkie that was 7 years old that still had teeth, that would be an amazing thing, because small breed dogs in particular, they were more likely to be fed a canned food product. They were, especially back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't talk about dental disease near as much, so people weren't brushing their animals' teeth, they weren't giving raw meaty bones. And the diets that they were being fed just contributed to all that inflammation in the mouth. And so it used to be very, very, very common in veterinary practices to see really rotten mouths and to see particularly small breed dogs with no teeth. And I think that is not something that we should just accept as normal. I think that we should be looking at the diet, how we can improve it, how we can improve the microbiome in the mouth, and how we can help our dogs and cats keep their teeth throughout their entire lifespan. I think that if we looked at it from a human perspective, and our dentists were telling us, hey, you don't ever have to brush your teeth, you don't have to floss, don't worry about it, just eat something, some crunchy chips or something like that, we would have teenagers with no teeth, and we would not think that was normal. So it's kind of ludicrous that we have been led down this path by veterinarians and the pet food industry, telling us that don't worry about it, the kibble's going to keep his teeth clean. It is not going to do it. It's actually going to cause more problems. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you can get some fresh food in the bowl, get to brushing, get some raw meaty bones if you've never fed raw meaty bones before. There is a link on our website to a little short course. I think it's less than an hour long, on how to feed raw meaty bones to your dogs, and it was made by Dr. Nick Thompson, who's brilliant. So lots of different ways to learn how to feed raw meaty bones, how to incorporate better foods into your pet's diet.